What's up, all you messy little babies? Welcome back to Error Code Blueberry. It's an unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is Chillybin.
Bless this mess, it's Meckii.
Yeah, you like that little, I had to fucking just like run up on it.
Commit.
Yeah, just that meme of the seagull, like tilting its head back just to scream some bullshit. All I wanted was a bucket of nuggets
Boy.
and a pie and a peanut shake. Hey, Destiny continues. Uh, Into the Light continues. We are, I feel like, mostly done with the stuff we wanted to get done. We've both acquired Super Black, some of us in real life and in game. I've gone the opposite route of my partner's football competition is having their like breast cancer network awareness round. She was like, "Come to the game and wear something pink," and I was like, "Great! I'm going to wear this stupid Margin Boo shirt. I'm going to turn up and support the cause."
This is fucking Margin Boo fan shirt.
Yeah, it whips.
Oh.
I don't know what else to tell you.
If I'd known, I would have worn my Hosier one
You
from
got
the same
like
company.
this? Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's. I'm gonna need to see that later. That's a wild image that is now in my head that I need to confirm. Um, but yeah, hey, Into the Light continues. We've got Super Black. We've done the weapon quest. We've got all that shit done. Um, I think I have struggled this week in particular to want to dip back in and do more because I'm kind of like, what else is there?
What
Like
now?
maybe it's like trying to get more of the brave weapon rolls or like finish off the like event title, which is just it's just brave, right? Because then it's you get a
Yeah.
different one for the Pantheon stuff.
I wanted to get Brave because I just think that's really funny.
Yeah,
Just Meckii, Brave.
brave, but it's in all caps, which is very
Like when you
cute.
go to the dentist and get a sticker.
Yeah,
Got that energy.
yeah. I mean, I went to the dentist last week,
I
and
was brave for my feeling.
it was good. And they warm up the anesthetic, and I didn't notice it going in. It was fucking great.
Did you get a little bee?
No, I got four fillings and a numb face.
Ah. I make my dentist give me something from the treat bucket.
Oh, yeah, the treat for me was the 38 degrees Celsius anesthetic that he like got done putting it, like applying it, and then was like, "Did you feel anything?" I was like, "Oh, you did it?" Like it was so like no feeling whatsoever. And then it was just like bang
Oh,
bang done, 40 minutes, four fillings in and out, bada bing.
my dentist gives me a little bee, and what it is, it's like, the cotton rounds that they
Mm.
stuff into. You fold that in half, tie it with dental string, and then
Oh,
you
sure.
put and then they color it in like a bee.
Yeah, all I got was like a bit of cardboard they stuck down one side of my mouth just because,
Fuck yeah, free cardboard.
yeah, just gonna chew on that.
Gonna chew on that later.
Yeah, no, the treat that my dentist gives me is a TV above the chair that's always playing The Simpsons. Like actually like surprisingly effective as a distraction. And probably doesn't work if you're not a fan of The Simpsons. But I
It's
had a good
like
time.
free cardboard. My piker is gonna fucking love this.
Hell yeah, dude. Um,
It saves me chewing on the drywall.
Yeah. Now I just got to save up a bunch of money to get Invisalign done. So that's going to be a fun time. But hey, this isn't a show about dental work. This is a game. This is a show about a video game, ostensibly. One that we have been barely playing in the last week. But there's some updates. There's some stuff coming down the pipe. I did the math before this show. We are four resets away from the final shape, which is insane to think about.
I better send my PC off for repairs.
Yeah, do you know how long that's going to take?
Depends on what's wrong with it.
Yeah, true. Um, well, fingers crossed that that is a quick resolution, but uh, all the same, it does approach this expansion, this date, um, and yeah, there's kind of not a lot else. I still haven't gotten in to do a Pantheon run. I just
Neither.
haven't found the time nor the people nor gotten up the courage to dip into Fire Team Finder for the first time because it's a lot of I would say the last like maybe three raids that have come out I've done once or twice and in all of those cases, I've done like one roll in each encounter. So like if I was just dropped into a random team and they said, go do this, be like, can you just explain the whole thing to me very quickly? So that is like a little bit of, I guess, anxiety I have around it is I need to make sure I'm getting into a group that is like happy to kind of teach it and be chill. And having looked at Fireteam Finder briefly, there are
I
tags that
think
direct towards that.
you can also put things like first time or learning,
Yeah,
something like that is a tag.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was talking to someone last night who has had a crack at it a couple times, and they were saying like even that first week one, when you're only like 5 under power, which is like yeah, it's actually surprisingly tough, because they've made like little changes to some of the encounters to make it more challenging, I guess.
What's the cap again?
I think it's listed at 1810. But I think they're kind of like controlling the power on the encounters to be like, you will always be capped 5 under what the
Oh,
encounter is
okay.
rated at, or something to that
Interesting.
effect.
Okay, cool.
And
Because
then
I was
like
about to be like,
every week it's another 5. So like week 2 that's just dropped is 10 under.
okay. Because
Yeah,
I was going to say, looks like I've got a new thing to do, which is grind for Pantheon, but I'm already at 18,
yeah,
24,
yeah.
25 or something.
Like
So,
it's I think at this stage it's more about like getting a good build that works for that kind of thing, as opposed to like getting to a power level.
yeah, okay.
So that's all right. I think like if I get one run done before final shape drops, I'll be quite happy with that. Like I don't really care for trying to grind out every week and get that title. That just doesn't seem like how I want to spend my time, honestly. But this week in Destiny, listed out all the stuff that the exotic class items are going to do, which is neat as hell. It's not like every exotic under the sun kind of works with the system. It's there's 2 perk columns. They have 8 options each that can drop. It's different for each class what is in those perk columns. And they've said that the activity that grants it will unlock after the world first raid completion. So we're talking like week 2 of Final Shape. They've also said it'll be farmable and you'll get a guaranteed random roll each time. So it's basically just keep going until you find one that works for you. I didn't want to like read out all of the possible combinations here on this show because frankly that's just boring.
There's what, 64 or something?
64 possible combinations, but like, there's really 16 unique perks per class. So even then, that's like, what, 48 that would be, that we would just sit here and read out. But what is, I think, interesting is just looking at which of our like favorite sort of perks happen to be in there. So one that is available across all 3. So all of these are referred to as like spirit of, and then like a name referencing the exotic it comes from. All 3 get access to something called Spirit of the Star Eater, which is obviously Star Eater scales. The perk there is while your super energy is full, picking up an orb of power overcharges your super, granting it bonus damage. I think that's a really good one to have it be like across all 3 because it is a really generic kind of power boosting effect. Similarly, I think Spirit of Inmost Light is one that goes across all 3. Actually, do all of these? No, there are differences. It looks like, yeah. But yeah, Heart of Inmost Light is a Titan exotic that basically says when you use an ability, it empowers the other 2. And so you can get these builds going where you're just cycling through like melee, grenade, and class ability. So that is another like really good generic effect to port across the other 2, and I think hunters will have a lot of fun with that in particular because like dodge, melee, grenade is a really satisfying loop to get into, and if you're dodging and then your melee and grenades are now more powerful, that's going to be fun times. And I also noticed for you in particular, on that warlock item, there are options such as Spirit of the Necrotic. Damaging combatants with your melee poisons them, and defeating a poisoned enemy spreads that condition. Obviously, necrotic
Yeesh.
groups.
Necrotic grips.
So that sits in column 1. as does Spirit of the Stag, something I know you're a big fan of.
Used to be a stag main, yeah.
Yeah.
Before I learned how to play the game.
Yeah, yeah. But then in column 2, Spirit of the Swarm, destroying a tangle spawns threadlings. So you want to have a bunch of green bullshit going out everywhere? Exotic class items are the thing for you.
Yep.
Yes. But yeah, I recommend anyone who's interested in cooking up some cursed combinations, go and have a read through that table. Start to think about like what specific random role you're looking for.
The little clapping monkey in my brain is already going.
Yeah, yeah. I think like just having a quick look at the Titan options now. I think obviously like Spirit of the Star Eater is very attractive because it will just kind of work with any super that you are running. Um, and in terms of other options in that column, I'm not really seeing anything that grabs me more than that. Although Spirit of Scars actually might be not bad because that's based off Precious Scars, a thing that is basically designed around healing and reviving allies. So that one is, what is it? Final blows with weapons that have a damage type matching your super's element create a burst of healing around you that grants allies restoration. And
Oh.
when I'm running like solar, I'm basically running only solar weapons. So if I'm running something like Sunshot and just like making a bunch of shit die to solar, everyone around me is going to get healed up.
Oh.
That's pretty
That
nice.
would work for how I play.
Yeah, sorry, that is just a Titan option.
Titan thing. I might have to
Have to
blow the
switch it
dust
up.
off my Exo Titan
Yeah,
and build it. Go completely against the point of a Titan and build an entirely heal
yeah.
support Titan.
So here's another thought that I've just noticed. In the first column is Spirit of the Assassin. Finishes and powered melee final blows grant invisibility, something Titans cannot do. And I do a lot of powered melee kill shit.
You do, yeah.
Especially lately with that Pyrogale build and Consecration. Like I'll just
You just been punching and hammering shit, yeah.
so like the idea of being able to go invisible on powered melees and then I don't know. I could pair that with like Spirit of Synthecept, so it's improved melee damage while you're surrounded, or like yeah, Star Eaters, or yeah. There's a few kind of gross.
There's a few combos there,
There's a few
yeah.
gross looking like melee specific combos that this will let me do. Maybe I'm going back to like that kind of old Synthecept style build that I had for a while. But yeah, I don't know how this is going to work with Prismatic too. Like, what options is that going to let me kind of smash together? That's the other thing that we will have to consider. This is going to be a complicated build process. But yeah, that's it's exciting to see that it's got the old brain churning in exciting new directions.
I'm about to become 100% more gross.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be just green and maybe purple. You could because like Prismatic will let you do a bit of everything, right? That's the other thing that's in this TWID this week is like developer preview gameplay of each class doing Prismatic bullshit, and those videos are each like a minute long. Some of the like commentary over top of it is a little bit cringe, so don't pay attention to that too much. I think like the first word I heard out of whoever was doing that is like, "Oh, epic!" I was like, people don't talk like that. What are we doing?
Please stop.
Yeah, but like the gameplay is kind of indicative of the sorts of things we'll be getting up to, which is very exciting to see.
I'm about to become a boomer. Like not like an old person, but I mean like Diablo fucking Left
The
4
ones
Dead.
that
Like
like
I'm about
explode with
to
festering boils and shit. Yeah, yeah. Someone who's playing a lot of
void
Diablo 4 at the moment. Yeah, I get it.
void and fucking necrotic
Yuck, dude.
with strand like threadlings. I'm about to come real nasty.
I
Throw
like
my
it.
junk throw my junk
Throw
junk
my junk
warlock.
around. Hell yeah, jorking my
Throw it
peanuts.
in a circle. But throw my junk warlock on.
Yes, let's go. Um, yeah, and I think last week or last episode I might have said like, "Hey, 0 hours coming next week." That was dead wrong. It's coming next week. This week was like PvP stuff dropped, right? That was this week.
Mappy maps, which I
Yeah.
still haven't done,
Well,
which I need to do.
so there's a separate playlist that has only those new maps in it, which I think is a good way of rolling that out. I did see somewhere that there's a quest that is essentially like play 2 matches on each map, and like that is apparently causing people to load into a map they've already done off of that quest and then quit. So I think like
Oh,
that quest design is
that
maybe
sucks, but
not
it is what it
optimal,
is.
but I think that's a good way to like force people to play them. Is like, one, put it in an isolated activity, and then two, give them a quest that like drives them to play it. So I do kind of want to dip in and do that. It's been a while since I've done some Crucible. They did have like a guns only mode for a bit there as well. I don't know if that was just last week, but
We could
that's interesting.
crush some brewskis, play some Crucible.
Some Brucible. That's
Mmm.
weird. That sounds like my dad's name.
Crucible.
Brucible bin. Oh dear.
The never-ending lore that your name is Chili Space Bin.
It's
Mr.
not.
Bin.
No, it's one word. I have one name. But yeah, that's kind of it in terms of this week's update. Like, we haven't done a lot. Next week is 0 hour. I think that'd be fun to just like dip into
I
again.
played 9 hours straight of Onslaught to get Super Black done.
Yeah, it was a bit of a grind towards the end there.
5 hours in Grasp. I never want to see fucking Grasp as Avarice again in my fucking
Dude, you
life.
hung so much shit on me for doing that, and then I saw you in Earth Colon Dungeon, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what you're up to. It's still a better way to do it.
It was mostly just the rocket launcher and grenade kills.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can only do so much damage in Onslaught with those two things before someone picks them off with a machine gun or
and also, like, one, you're competing for kills, and two, ammo becomes a problem when you're doing it in Onslaught, whereas in the opening of Grasp of Avarice, it's just, there's always fucking ammo. You wait like a minute.
Even then I throw finders on and I'm just
Yeah.
shitting out purple and green blocks left, right, and center,
Even if you
especially with
even if you
grenade
don't,
kills.
even if you don't, there is no shortage. They are
Yeah,
just
especially with
dropping
grenade
bricks.
kills.
Yeah, very true. So yeah, we'll see how 0 hour goes. I think that'll be one that, like, because I managed to do Whisper of the Worm solo just off of memory. That'll be one that like would be kind of fun for you and me to like go into just as like a fire team of 2 and just try to remember how to do it, because they have changed little aspects of it, and like Trevor is still a nuisance.
Yeah.
But like all the routing that I remember from Whisper was still true. You know, like where you've got the holes down the sides of the room, you've got to jump in the exact right one. Like stuff like that was still the same. So that was good. Otherwise, I would have been like, fuck, I don't know. I just got to try them all. So yeah, that'll be good. But the main thing we were going to talk about this week is actually thanks to a comment on our last video from Gary DeBrown. Has been up in our comments section a fair bit, so shout out to you. But yeah, just sort of asking, I don't want to read the whole thing, but kind of going into some of the stuff we were talking about last time about like not liking Cayde and kind of joking about like fuck hunters and stuff like that. So my guess here from this comment is like the Gary is based in the US, so I think there might be some sort of cultural differences in terms of sense of humor, sarcasm, that sort of thing that is very prevalent in both Australia and New Zealand, where I'm from. So yeah, kind of, what was he saying? Intrigued by the Cayde hate. You kind of explained it, but I would love to know more. This isn't an Australian thing, right? Spoilers, it kind of is. But it's also not. We'll get into it. Where are we? Then yeah, also does the yeah but fuck hunters true exchange stem from Cayde hate or something else? So I dropped that in the notes. I was like, this would actually be kind of good to unpack, I think, because I mean, as this comment sort of says to me, like on face value, it seems really hostile, but it's not intended that way at all.
Also, it's ECB lore at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
We both hate Cayde, and I have a particular hate of Aldrin.
Yeah.
Another hunter.
Well, yeah, I guess he was. Yeah. I mean, do we want to like do you want to give like a quick cliff note version of why you dislike Cade, and then I'll try and hit my points, and then we'll kind of just see where
Yeah.
that gets us.
And I feel like a lot of my points we meet in the middle on anyway. Like we agree.
Mm.
But once again, thank you for the comment because we had to sit there and actually unpack
Yeah,
where the joke started.
yeah. Like, what was
Um
it initially? Like, just
we
criticism,
had to
and
be
then we
like,
memed on it too
when did
much.
we start hating Cade?
Yeah.
Like, actually. Just for clarity. It's not hate. It's mostly a meme at this point. For me it started as exhaustion. It's the same reason, like, to kind of put it into context, I'm kind of over Deadpool for the same reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cade is a very aged sense of humor.
Mm.
And I feel like maybe another thing that's playing into that, like you mentioned, we're from Australia and New Zealand. Well, one of us is culturally Australian. Um, and it's a different sense of humor. I think American humor is very boisterous and in your face and finger guns
Well,
and
I think too, it's
the
very like
it's
it.
also very mid 2000s humor.
Well,
It's
I was gonna
very
say like one of the main things, like I was brought up with a lot of like British comedy influences, and like
Black Books, Mighty
yeah,
Boosh.
it's a lot more subtle in its delivery than a lot of American humor tends to be. Like, and you see
I
that
think
in Cade and Deadpool of like, well, not so much Deadpool, but like it is like the joke is just put in front of you and explained to you a lot more than like traditional sort of British comedy styles.
yeah. So I think like us having our comedy or our like comedy upbringing based in, and like if anyone wants to check out these shows, things like Black Books, The Mighty Boosh, IT Crowd, Peep Show to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
just these very kind of dry, in a way also self-deprecating humor.
Yeah, and
And
to sort of make the point a little bit more clear, this is not saying like, oh, I think I'm so much better because I prefer
no,
British
no,
comedy.
no.
The point is like Australia and New Zealand are British colonies turned countries, so like that is where that influence kind of comes from.
Yeah. So like I was saying before, sometimes American humor can come off quite brash.
Mm.
And can come off kind of like in your face, like the Nathan Drake, not to pick on old mate because he also voice acts him, but um it's that Deadpool mid 2000s Iron Man Marvel kind of finger guns humor
Mm.
that after a while, I think for both of us, it got a little old.
Yeah,
And the one-liners and the quips while you're doing a mission kind of got a little bit cringe for me. And then that was already abrasive. And then when, spoiler alert, he dies, the community had a really hard time. That's a bit like spoiling the Sixth Sense at this point,
yeah,
but um, the community had a really hard time letting go of that. And I feel like it had its moment when it first happened. Even I cried. I cried when it first happened too, especially when it cuts to the cutscene with like Korra and Zavala and everyone kind of
mm-hmm.
blaming themselves for Cade's death and trying to like come to terms with they've lost a guardian, which is a big deal considering we resurrect constantly, and that his death came at the hands of a betrayal. Um, but the community didn't seem to let go of it, and the community seemed to keep pushing for him to come back.
Yeah,
And for us, it was like Cade was a moment in time, and his sense of humor is very indicative of that moment in time. Um, it's also, and I added this as my final point, it's also kind of funny to hate on Cade at this point because people online get unnecessarily mad about the fact we hate Cade, or when
yeah,
I meme about it
yeah,
on Twitter, they get really upset. Um, it's kind of funny. It's a video game character. Like
yeah.
if you relate to him because your sense of humor is like that, we have nothing against you. It's not like we're
No,
gonna
no,
dislike
no,
you
no.
because you like Cade. It's not that deep. At this point, it's a meme.
Yeah,
But it is kind of born of like the only way I could sum up all my points is kind of exhaustion with that character, and just his sense of humor doesn't necessarily align with a lot of their audience. but he also comes from a point where Bungie didn't actually have a lot of cross-cultural hires or wasn't as progressive and as expansive in their hiring process as they are now. So a lot of the writing was coming from white American dudes.
Yeah, and he was kind of
And
just
you can
like,
kind of tell looking back at some of these characters, it's
well, and
like,
also
yeah,
like
you were written
some
by
pretty
like straight white dudes
yeah,
for
some
a
pretty
long time.
serious characterizations in everybody else. So he was kind of just like the comic relief.
Yeah. When we've learned in the last few months that when the writers are given, or last few years at this point, a couple of years at this point, when the writers are given room to move, they can make Zavala funny. They can make
Yeah.
Shax funny. Even Ikora's had her funny moments. Finch is a Cayde-esque character, but I feel like that.
Finch is Sevathun's ghost? No,
Yeah.
that's
No,
Amaru.
that's Umaru. Finch is like that kind of similar humor, but I feel like it's much more mature and evolved from Cayde.
Yeah.
And then you've got Umaru, who is an extension of that sense of humor as well. The cockiness, the boisterous, but they've given him more texture and more nuance.
Yeah.
Where to me, Cayde, for a really long time, was missing that nuance and missing that texture.
Yeah, it kind of felt a bit like the kid who just will refuse to grow up and just like keep wanting to be a little shithead the whole time. Whereas
it's like that class clown that doesn't.
Yeah.
You leave high school and they're still trying to be the class clown.
Yeah, yeah. I think to your point about like when he died, people didn't want to let it go. This is like, to me, it started to feel like an extension of like gamer entitlement, where people didn't like the fact that this main character was killed, and they were demanding that the developers like bring him back in some way, which is not something you see in fictional media outside of video games. Really, well, like not to the same extent. Like maybe it happens in like, say, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and like they know that there are more movies and TV shows coming. They're like, well, maybe they'll just bring them back sometime. But the amount of demands being issued is way lower outside of video games, and so that side of it, like that entire attitude, deeply frustrates me. And seeing it applied to what was quite a brave storytelling choice from Bungie to kill a main character off, and people going like,
deeply loved character too.
Yeah.
Like he was a community favorite. They were ride or dies for this robot man.
And people basically just not being able to have an open mind to let that storytelling moment actually exist and happen and have the impact it was intended to have. Like it started to feel disrespectful to the writer's intent of like, oh no, we don't think that should have happened actually. Like why does he get to die when everybody else just gets resurrected? It's like, well, the ghost was killed. This whole thing was set up. It was like, a really momentous situation. Like let that hit you.
And that's it. It was huge. I remember when it happened, like that expansion dropped and that story dropped. I stayed off the internet. And then I went and played it when I got home from work when it first dropped. And like I said, I sobbed when it happened. For a good like 25 minutes was like sobbing.
Yeah.
It hit me hard as the Rasputin scene.
Yeah.
Like that kicked me in the fucking guts, that scene.
Yeah.
Even Savathun dying kind of kicked me in the guts.
Yeah. So
in a way too.
So I think that goes to say that like
his death had the same weight as every character for
even
me.
Though we both, in our own ways, disliked the writing and dialogue and characterization of Cayde, like we could not help but be affected by the gravity of that situation and like how big of a moment it was when it happened.
Yeah, I think. I think Cayde. How do I say that? Cayde deserved the death he got. He earned it. He earned that weight.
Yes.
Like I'm not saying he deserved to die because I hate him. I mean, like
he deserved the impact that it had.
Bungie did their work and they gave him, I guess, a fitting death, right? It was at the end of the day, like underneath the brush, kind of haha, Nathan Fillion humor. He cared deeply about the Vanguard and fellow Guardians, and he cared about the future of the universe, and he did care. So for him to lose his life doing what he loved, which was being obnoxious. Let's admit it. It was fitting, and it was very on character. That also, like, his final words were him being a fucking smartass too. And until what we know with Final Shape, him losing his ghost to me made his death feel fine. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he's gone. He's not coming back. He's gone. And it was the community refusing to do that. Whereas, so the difference is, I cried when Cayde died, laughed when Aldrin died, because him getting gobbled up in the servitor is kind of really funny. And I don't know if Bungie meant it to be funny or they wanted it to have a similar weight. Like, his hubris is what brought him down.
Yeah, yeah.
And like him being hypnotized or whatever, like manipulated.
Yeah.
Savathun, girl boss, gatekeeped, gaslit the shit out of that. Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, as exhausted as we were by that character, it still hit home when he did die.
Yeah, and I think
it was a lot of us wanting the community to leave it alone.
Well, also just like the community to actually like process something. Like, don't just get stuck in, oh, this is going to be the same forever. Because like,
we had a fucking funeral for him at PAX Oz.
I cannot forget that.
An official Bungie funeral.
Yeah, it was like community organized, but then like Bungie got involved in some way, right?
Bungie like leaned in, yeah.
But yeah, and I think all of this is kind of why when that first trailer showed him and his voice was in it, I had the reaction had of like, why now? Why him? So then that, like, the latest trailer where he has a bit more exposition, like, it actually does show a different style of writing for that character. So I'm actually kind of interested to see this now, as opposed to my first reaction, which was like, can this guy just fuck off?
It's like, once again, like, a lot of people I speak to about Cayde who don't like Cayde, it comes down to a lot of like, it's Nathan Fillion being Nathan Fillion. But the thing is, if you look at pieces of media like Castle and Firefly, he can do the haha finger guns, but also the haha finger guns guy who uses that humor because he's deeply traumatized.
Yes. We just never really saw that in Cayde with the way that...
They never gave Cayde the depth Cayde deserved that moment.
I mean, I guess to be completely fair, like, we never really got that with someone like Zavala until a recent season. Like, it's just that Zavala wasn't immediately grating to our nerves.
And that's like, I suppose to a degree, we also recently got that with Shaxx as well, with the Great Hunt lore.
Yeah.
Where you find out that Shaxx, spoiler alert for Warlord's Ruin, you find out Shaxx actually didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be involved. He knew killing the Ahamkara was going to be a bad thing. And he might have accidentally wished. And that's why last episode we were both really excited to be like, oh, maybe Cayde's finally getting that nuance that we've been craving in him.
Yeah.
Or that we craved in him when he was alive in lore. We wanted that nuance. We wanted that texture. We wanted that layered character that is the ha-ha funny.
Plus.
But also...
And like, don't get me wrong.
There's other aspects.
Yeah, like I do want that. I want to find out that side of that character, but the biggest question is still, how is this motherfucker coming back from the dead? Like, how, why, when, who? Like, answer all these questions. I need to know, and I guess we'll find out in a month, right?
It's like, except for me, but for most people, it's like Aldrin.
Yeah,
the new writing team and the new writers and the new. It's. I shouldn't make an assumption, and people are going to be like, "Ooh, fucking progressive." Ooh. But to me, the writing vastly improved for Destiny when they started expanding their writing team. And they started to get different cultures, different genders, different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, racial backgrounds, everything. And they started getting involved in telling these stories.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
And
That's
for
just
me...
different. It's just more perspectives, right?
Yeah. And we get Zavala is more layered now and Shax is more layered now, and Akora is more like everyone's getting more layered. They managed to redeem Aldrin for the community after he killed beloved Cayde. They managed to give him a retribution arc. So I'm actually really excited to see what they do with Cayde. I'm actually really interested, and I'm willing to give Bungie benefit of the doubt for this because we have seen them mature in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But for what he was at the time before he died, I think it really just came down to like he was kind of grating.
Yeah, and it's a sort of thing of like, at least for, you know, like the age you and I are when we got into Destiny, like we like matured in terms of like what we wanted from characters and stories and things like that at a greater rate than Cayde delivered. And so now I feel like they're trying to close that gap.
And I think that that's something too that some new players forget is some of us have grown up with Destiny.
Yeah.
Like not just Destiny 2, Destiny 1. Like Destiny came out when I was 22, 23. That's what, 10 years?
I mean, yeah, it is. Like this is the end of the 10-year saga, right?
10 years of playing this game.
Yeah.
And so we've grown up with this game. And yeah, he's definitely a reflection of the time that he was written in, I think.
And
yeah.
That's kind of the other thing I wanted to sort of touch on a bit is like 10 years ago, we're what, mid 2010s, like this is the era of like the Joss Whedon writing style, and like that being all over every bit of Western film media. Like it was just like once you learned how to identify it, it was actually way more pervasive than people gave it credit for. There's a really good article if anyone is interested from Gita Jackson, like when she worked at Vice, called "When Joss Whedon Was Our Master." Like this was like around the time he was having a bunch of allegations come his way, rightfully so. But it went into the extensive history of like his effect on dialogue over like since Buffy forward, basically, and the way Cayde.
It felt like every male writer wanted to be Joss.
Yeah, and like the way Cayde was written was very much of that style. Like it's that smug, smarmy character, like constantly being self-referential, like almost breaking the fourth wall here and there, and just like not ever taking anything seriously.
I think another like side of that coin is unfortunately because of his extensive work, people like Nathan Fillion, Ryan Gosling, and even to a degree Robert Downey, for example, all got pinned in Joss Whedon characters.
Yeah.
Like if someone hired Nathan Fillion for a role, they wanted to write for him like it was Joss writing for him because that's what he could do.
Yeah.
Which I think also kind of lent into the way that Cayde kind of ended up being written and involved as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that to me is like, it's a style of writing that I have like there was a time when like I did enjoy that, but then when it was everywhere, to your point about exhaustion, like it was just oversaturation of like obviously the proliferation of Marvel films, but also they were all written the same way. They're all structured the same way. It was, I think, just a reflection of sort of that era that we were in of sort of pop culture media. And now, I mean, yeah, he got like fairly disgraced, and everybody moved on and went like, oh, maybe we shouldn't emulate this piece of shit anymore. And now, especially with Destiny, like there are more writing styles, more perspectives, more backgrounds. So yeah, in that context, I'm also pretty excited to see how this character looks.
Yeah. I really hope that he's getting the same nuance and just like I know I keep saying nuance, but I feel like comedy really relies on nuance, especially in media like movies, like long-term media. You need that nuance in a character, otherwise it tends to get stale.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited to see is like with this new writing team and everything that has happened since he's passed. Like the fact he died.
Yeah.
Like what are they doing? Like I'm excited to see more of Cayde, even though we meme on him so much. It's like we are excited to see more of Cayde within the context of the little drip feeding that we've been given with this trailer.
Yeah, a thing that I am kind of expecting to be an aspect is that like I think a lot of Cayde's sort of cavalier attitude used to come from the fact that like guardians are immortal. Like, what does it matter if I die? I'll just get resurrected by my ghost, right? And now
It's
this,
why he was
yeah,
reckless. He was the
and
cowboy.
now that motherfucker died for real and has been brought back. So I am kind of expecting and hoping to see like even just a more macabre attitude, like, oh, this can act and has actually affect me. And like, is he coming
Yeah.
back with a ghost, or is he like a Hawthorne situation where they're just kind of like out there fighting, but they could die at any moment?
It's like, what kind of sense of humor do we get now when you add a layer of existentialism?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, actually kind of excited for new Cayde, but hopefully that goes some way to explain like historically why we haven't enjoyed him anymore.
Yeah.
And
I think to the point we made earlier, it's basically a meme now.
yeah, yeah, because like we haven't had to think
There's
about
no
Cayde really for so
hostility
long.
there at
No,
all.
no. And
There's no hostility.
I
It's
guess
just
like
funny.
to like go from that to us joking about hunters more generally, like I think it is just an extension of that of like it felt like a bunch of people were trying to emulate Cayde in the way that they played and like take it like seriously to a point of like being sweat lords and PvP are mostly hunters, for example. Because you're dodging and jumping around and just like throwing knives and guns and shit around. And like, again, it's mostly a meme because of like our styles of humor.
It was also too like for a really, really, really long time. Um, and maybe my experience as a female lends to a different perspective or a bit different bias. Hunters have just been so edgy
Yeah,
all the time, like their costumes, and this is coming from me dressed like this
yeah,
today,
yeah,
but it's like they would have edgy names, their outfits would be super edgy, and then in the voice chat or in the text chat, they'd be edgy. And I was like, if I wanted to play Call of Duty, I'd play Call of Duty. Like, if I wanted to be called names, I'd play. And 99.9% of the time, when I got some weird sexist shit thrown at me, it was a fucking hunter.
yeah,
Um, so for me, it's just the meme of like hunters are edgy. And
yeah,
then also, like, for a while there, the number one people bitching on Twitter, you would check their profiles and they'd be a hunter main.
yeah,
Like, it's just funny to be like, hunters are edgy.
yeah. It's definitely like we're generalizing here, and
Yeah,
it's
it's funny because at the same time, I'll turn around as a warlock main and say, "Yeah, warlocks want to fuck the traveler," and it's funny.
Titans are just brain dead. Go punch.
Yeah, like warlocks are all creepy little goth weirdos. 90% of the goths I know that play Destiny 2 are fucking warlock mains.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's funny for me as like a goth slash old person to be like, hunters are edgy, and then every goth I know plays warlock.
yeah. I think too, like your point about most online first-person shooter games have a large toxic element to their community. Like the thing in my mind that maps most closely to things like Call of Duty and those sort of like high speed dynamic shooter games, like it maps most closely to Hunter, and I feel like that's where that gravitation happens. Because Titans like are a bit more clunky as a sort of as a class, so it's I reckon there's like a I don't know 60-40 split of like those people will go Hunter or Titan, and then Warlock is like the weird third one that floats around and does magic shit.
Yeah.
But it's all of this is basically just generalizations for the purpose of humor. It's not actually like a solid stance that we believe in of like hunters are bullshit heads. Don't
Some of our
don't
best
take it
mates
seriously.
are hunter mains.
Yeah,
It's like the stereotype that like warlocks get the best, easiest to use jumps, yet none of us can fucking jump.
yeah. Well, it's because your jump doesn't make physical sense. You like go up and then you just drift down.
Like all
Whoa.
of us whiff our jumps in dungeons.
Yeah.
Like
Like the other two, it's like you go up and then you go up some more. The warlock's just like you go up and a mount and then you're only coming down from there.
I think with us, it also part of it is like we're a titan main and a warlock main, so it's easy to bully the
Oh yeah,
hunters.
yeah. None of them are here to defend
But like
themselves.
if we had like one of our hunter main homies in here, they would 100% give it back to both of us.
Yeah, yeah. for sure.
Especially me.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably the worst at bullying grown men. The grown men bully me back. And it's true. All warlocks do want to bone the traveler.
Yep. Yep. It's no, I can't prove it, but like I believe you. But yeah,
Me, the test subject.
I don't really have
sample size of 1.
Yeah, I don't really have like anything else as to why we meme on hunters. It's just like it's kind of fun for us.
Yeah, it's funny, and it comes from a long history of behaviors that maybe have made us a little biased.
Yeah, and also like that point about like maybe cultural differences. Like a lot of friend groups in Australia and New Zealand revolve around banter, which is basically just bullying.
Yeah, out of each other.
Yeah, and like I have like American friends, and I've met them and tried that style of humor, and they think I'm actually trying to offend them.
They think you hate them.
Yeah, it's like no, this is what we do. It takes them a bit longer to get used to it, I think.
Recently, my repertoire of friends have grown, and 100% of my new American friends thought I hated them or thought I was a bitch.
Yeah.
And it was just because the banter didn't land.
Yeah.
Or for them, the banter was more like, "Ha, you're fat." And then that would be funny. Right. Whereas, like, I would say something to a friend, like a offhanded remark about their teeth, or like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I have big teeth myself. So when I see other people with big teeth, I'm like, you are fair game.
Right, yeah.
It's like you the other day calling my outfits my build.
Yeah.
And that sent me for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, sick loadout, homie.
You were like, your build is kind of recognizable. Yeah. What does that even mean?
It was honestly, it was like almost a slip of the tongue. I just said it, and then it was like, no, this is I'm doubling down.
It felt like bullying. I think a lot of it just comes, we have very dry sense. You and I have very dry senses of humor. Even for Australians and New Zealanders, like, I think we both have pretty dry senses of humor, or obscure senses of humor too.
Maybe for future episodes of this show, I'll create like an alert that pops up that says like, for legal reasons, this is a joke, when we're like bashing hunters. Just to make it super clear that like none of that is taken seriously on our part. It is just for a bit of a laugh.
It's a sarcasm alarm.
That's it. Yeah. Just a little red light over here.
Oh, I wish I'll send it to you in case I remember the name and you can put it in the episode, but I don't think I'll be able to remember it because I'm subscribed to so many people. Mm-hmm. There is a gaming group that I watch who play a lot of survival games.
Okay.
And it's an American, an Australian, and I nearly said a British person.
Yeah.
And they have a sarcasm alarm for the British player, because he'll say something and then like a little thing will show up that will say sarcasm. Like, I'll have to find it. But I feel like it's that. It's like, it's just such different.
Yeah, I'll find my stream deck wherever that is and just have a button I can hit that just pops it onto the screen here. Just like, we're being sarcastic. Don't think we actually hate hunters, or
Meckie's being sarcastic again.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't actually want to fuck this video game character. It's just funny to say that. Don't worry.
Speak for yourself. I want to fuck the traveler. You can't stop me.
Yeah. I want to get in that egg.
Let me in.
Well, wait 4 weeks and then we'll be in there. We're going to find out what's up in them guts.
I'm going to get in that Travusi.
Yes.
Pale heart.
We'll find out
the pale boosie of the traveler.
We'll find out just what Cayde's been doing in there. How he got there before us. I don't know. Oh my god, is the traveler just Cayde's sloppy seconds?
No, my wife. That whore. That floozy.
Oh, the traveler's a harlot.
God damn it. You know what they say? If they do it with you, what's stopping them from doing it with anyone else?
What?
Should have listened.
Oh, dear. But yeah, like thanks again to Gary DeBrown for that comment, because that has opened up a whole can of worms that we had
I
to
had to
dig
sit
into.
down. I had to sit down and unpack why I hate a made-up man.
I mean, same. I had to go find that article that I remembered reading years ago and be like, oh yeah, this was part of it for sure.
Mm. The bear or Cayde 6?
Probably the bear. And
If I had to be stuck,
I'm choosing the
if I
bear.
had to be trapped in the Traveler with a bear or Cayde 6,
It's
no,
gonna be a
it's not that
bear.
deep.
Robot
If
man
you had
or living bear.
if you had to be stuck in the EDZ with a servitor or Cayde 6,
Servitor.
yeah, they make a fun noise. Ow.
They remind me of the Traveler.
Ow.
Yeah, it's actually really good. Ow.
Ow. I'm glad my mic, whenever they appear, I do. It's like a, what's that, echolalia?
Mm,
Where you hear a term and you repeat it back.
right.
I do that with the servitors. And also, as a kid, when I used to play Pokemon, I used to make the
Oh,
noise
but
back
like
at them.
original Pokemon where it's just like generic fucking electronic
Yeah.
sounds.
Beep-bear.
Yeah.
My mum would be like, "What is this game?"
Yeah.
Me with servitors doing echolalia.
Yeah.
And then when they blow up, they do that.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on your mind about hunters and or Cayde? I think that's pretty well covered that
It's
topic.
just why you have to be mad. It's only jokes.
He's only joke.
It's only jokes.
Um,
I do love people asking questions though.
Yeah.
Because it makes you kind of think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a real humdinger of a question.
Starting off strong.
So hey, anyone else who's got like big brain questions like that, drop them in the comments.
Gazzo in the comments with the fucking deep questions.
Yeah,
I love
you
it.
too might inadvertently provide enough material for basically a whole episode.
You might force us to unpack some shit.
Oh, I might have projected my own internalized trauma onto this video game character. Leave me alone.
I've been traumatized by one too many finger gun white men that now I hate Cayde. Ah!
For legal reasons, I'm not one of them. But yeah, I think other than that, that's probably going to do it for this app. Hey?
Yeah.
We'll be back next time to maybe have done 0 hour and talk about that, but we will see what our schedules look like. I am running a half marathon next weekend. Yay me. I am an idiot. But yeah.
I'm not that cool. I'm just a moron who signed up to a Spartan race.
Are they huge?
Yeah.
Okay,
I got until August.
More power to you.
I love working in the fitness industry.
Very true. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting, liking, and subscribing, and all the above. Continue to do so. And if you haven't done it yet, good time to start. We're going to keep checking in before Final Shape drops as more information is revealed about just what the fuck is happening with this expansion. I don't know what else is left for them to explain. But we'll find out. We'll let you know.
I just want to know why so many hands inside the Traveler.
Just all of these ones, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll find out about those hands in 4 weeks. Find out what those hands do.
Catch these hands.
Catch these hands. Real 1920s pugilist style.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah. My fucking autofocus kicked in. It's just like, no, that one hand, I want to look at it. This one. We'll see you next time. Bye.